think our love for cooking started with my grandmother, because my grandmother loved to cook. My mother, I did too, and Cheryl and my kids, so yeah. Oh my gosh, coffee, chocolate jelly. You know what? Food was different in this. But everything she prepared, I loved. And it's been passed down through my mother to me, to Cheryl.
And now me.
And it's one of our favorite desserts.
We're waiting for Daniel to make it at some point in his life. We're waiting for the day.
Yeah, that's perfect.
She was a modern cook. She wasn't a handful of this and a
No,
drop of that.
She was precise.
She was a modern woman.
Yeah, precise.
You need a roll, Dan? I don't even know if he's ever measured anything in his life. Have you ever measured things out to cook? You go by the seat. You're like a
freestyle.
Which is why I prefer cooking to baking, because it is freestyle.
Cooking's art and baking science. I'm not very good at science.
I think I prefer baking. I used to prefer cooking. I'm tired of it.
When's the last time you made the cake?
In 2009, just before my mother passed away. Yeah.
For her birthday?
My mother's 98.
Grandma Clara made it every year for Grandpa's birthday.
Yeah.
And I never got the impression that you guys really liked it.
I don't know. I never felt like it was my cake.
But
it's like his cake. Now, I think I like it now. I haven't had it in a while, but I have a feeling that I'll like it better now.
It's one of my faves.
I love Poppyseed. And I love custard, and that's what's in it.
Me too.
For me, it's better than chocolate cake.
Yeah. It's got to be flat.
Flatter?
Yeah.
With my finger?
No. No. Like this. You go. Excuse me. Okay.
Beautiful.
There we go.
We make a good team.
Yeah, we do.
The book is Cooking with Love. It's a fundraiser for Maimonides Hospital that I worked on. I was one of the editors, and we put the recipe in the book. This is the one I copied down when I got married from my mother. Who copied it down, I guess, from my grandmother.
My mother passed it on to me, but it must have been, I don't know, first few years of marriage, maybe.
Well, maybe you shouldn't do this part.
It's
for professional. Just joking.
But once you watch,
because when you fold in egg whites, you can't just go zoom, zoom, zoom. You have to do it. You have to do it at a time and do it gently, because the whole idea of the egg whites is to lighten up the cake.
Have very soft hands.
You have soft hands. Yeah, but you don't use the hands to mix.
We started eating yogurt when I never heard of it. It used to be delivered by DeLille to our home in little glass jars. Yeah, she was very health conscious. Do you remember the little glass jars?
Excuse me, I remember I used to get ear infections and be on antibiotics. And my grandmother used to come over with the yogurt. And she knew, which probably very few people knew then, that yogurt was good for somebody on antibiotics. And she used to try every trick in the book to get me to have the yogurt. She used to put in chocolate chips. She used to put in maple syrup. She used to put in fruit. And I hated every single one of them.
Even though she was healthy, when it came to like dessert, she didn't cut corners. She didn't have like...
No, Friday night was when we had the desserts, Friday night dinner. And she always had cookies on hand. And my friends came over. They knew that there were cookies in my house. My mother told me that her friend Betty Viner gave her the recipe and made her swear not to give that recipe to anybody. And she didn't.
Except to the family.
The family, yeah.
Now, fast forward many, many, many years later, probably like only around 3 years ago, I was looking in my copy of The Joy of Cooking, and in the table of contents I saw Poppyseed cake, so I decided to check it out. I checked it out and realized it was the recipe for this cake. So then I decided to check out custard filling and caramel icing, and they're all in The Joy of Cooking. Wow.
So Betty Viner must have had the joy of cooking.
And then, can you just look to see how long it has to bake for? I think it's 25 minutes, but I forget.
How long does that have to be in the fridge?
So probably a couple of hours, but I made it yesterday for today.
And then we have to keep the cake in the fridge after because of the custard.
Right.
You know, you don't kill your guests with ptomaine poisoning.
When you put this in the fridge to cool, you have to put the wax paper directly onto the custard, otherwise it gets a skin. So now I have to make the icing. This is where the sweet bomb kicks in. And it has to be stirred constantly until...
And that makes caramel?
Makes caramel, exactly. And this gets hotter than hot. It is not the kind of thing you dip your finger in for a taste through. Yeah. When I got married at a very young age, I did not know how to cook. I took my mother's recipe box and I copied down all the recipes she made that I liked. And I put them in a recipe box, like a good little bride of the 50s, even though it was 1976. But I assumed that I had to be a good cook, that it was a natural thing. You got married and you were a good cook. That's because my grandmother was a good cook, my mother was a good cook, and my great-grandmother is a good cook. And I was very shocked to find out that my friends didn't necessarily feel the same way. It was a revelation.
Would you always make a cake, or sometimes it wasn't
Oh, I
time,
still
you maybe
do.
buy a cake?
Never. Oh, I only bought a cake when I was pregnant. There was a department store called Eaton's, and they had it's called the Blue Cake Counter. And they had a square chocolate marshmallow mint cake. And I buy that, and I ate almost the whole cake within a few days. And when I went to weigh in, my doctor told me I better cut back. Yeah. But really, I don't like bought cake. My mother never bought cake.
What did Bubby, what was her cooking like?
Amazing. And she used to bake for Friday night 8 cakes and hide them so that one of the kids wouldn't go down and start. Especially my Uncle Saul. He was known for that.
Why 8 cakes?
I don't know, because people dropped in over the weekend, and we were always invited for Sunday lunch. And she would call me every week and ask me what I'd like her to prepare. And I had the same answer every week. Cabbage rolls, sweet and sour meatballs, and whatever else you wanted to prepare. So, but she didn't have recipes. She just a glass of this and a thing of that. I'd watch her bake, and she would just she said, well, you beat the eggs, and I would count the eggs that she was doing. And then she said, you add a handful of flour. And so I'd say, wait, and I'd put a glass under, and I would measure it. And then she would feel the batter, and she'd put a little more in if she felt she needed it, and it was all in her head.
Did it turn out though?
Always.
Always?
Always, yeah. Yeah.
Freestyle baking.
Yeah. She was Romanian. Yeah. She came to Canada. She was very young, and so was my grandfather. He was Russian. My grandfather was in the construction business, and he was renovating a nightclub downtown. And he invited me for dinner there, and he ordered shrimp cocktail. I was a little bit shocked, but he said to me, don't tell Bubby. I never did. He was so handsome that you can't imagine. He had blue eyes, black hair, and he loved the ladies. He could make you melt. When my friends met him, he would look in their eyes and say, my dear, you're so beautiful. And they all fell in love with him.
So we're going to flip it out and hope that it comes out.
Right, Cheryl, what I do is
The thing is, though, we really have to let it cool down really well, because to put cold custard in hot cake and to put caramel frosting on a warm cake, you're going to have
a puddle.
Goopy, gooey puddle, exactly. So you can't really cheat time-wise. His birthday was Labor Day, September 1st, so that was, everybody was always around, and it was a long weekend.
The whole family would come up north for the day and celebrate. And then we'd try to help clean up, and my father would say, we have a system. Nobody in the kitchen, and he and my mother would clean up. People used to call me and tell me they saw my parents walking hand in hand. They were always holding hands.
Just gently?
Okay,
Ever so gently?
well, we're going to sift it so there's no lumps. So this is my idea of a sifter, it's a strainer.
Cheryl, I don't know, because it's got to pour, but we don't want it to pour too
I think
much.
that's actually perfect.
Yeah?
Let me see. Let me test. Oh yeah. So the custard becomes sort of glue, so to speak.
Yeah, kind of. So you put it around to the
Yeah,
edge.
it's also tasty.
Exactly.
That's a dual roll. Beautiful. Beautiful.
And then we put the frosting on. Put some birthday candles in. It would be good for my grandfather.
Has the recipe changed at all, like over the years?
No.
Has it evolved?
No, if
Good.
it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Let's do this.
You want honesty?
Yummy in the tummy.
Tastes good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tastes like the past.
I think everybody who likes to cook for other people. And it's probably for a lot of, well, there's a lot of food snobbism these days, but I don't think I come from that background, except from the major guilt of not preparing a homemade meal, which has now come back into vogue anyway, so.
I cook for others, but I also cook for myself. I like my own cooking.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I like my own cooking better
Then takeout.
than takeout or many restaurant meals, which is really unfortunate, because I would really like to not cook a lot more.
I can make anything but once because I don't write down the recipe. So I just sort of wing it and then see what happens. But I have confidence in the kitchen. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Confidence. And I probably got that from you.
Really?
So I know I come from a long line of good cooks, so it brings a certain amount of clout to the
You didn't
kitchen.
get it from your father.
No.